Here at Chad Finn, Boston Globe, Boston.com. I'm Noah Coslov. So, Sunday Night Baseball, Red Sox, Yankees. Does your timeline on Twitter get flooded with Jessica Mendoza comments?
Oh, thank God they don't have my phone number. Yeah, it does, and it's a strange thing because it used to happen with other broadcasters too. It would happen with Harold Reynolds from time to time. It would happen with Joe Morgan, not so much Twitter, but when he was on the ESPN broadcast, there was a lot of backlash on whatever social media was that day. Remember the Fire Joe Morgan website, and people got criticism, and they got over-the-top criticism sometimes. But I've never seen anything to the magnitude of what Jessica Mendoza puts up with on Sunday Night Baseball. She's better than those guys as a broadcaster first. She's somewhere in the middle of the pack. She's not great. She's learning, but she's pretty good, and she works at it, and she's going to get better. They have had much worse on that program, and yet she gets an incredibly magnified amount of criticism for the job that she does.
Is any of it the non-female related stuff? Like actually what you're actually saying is being criticized?
Yeah, it is to some degree, but it feels like a nitpick. Like, you call a baseball game. That was a quick game Sunday night. It was around 2.5 hours. But generally, it's going to be 3.5 hours on Sunday Night Baseball. You do that, you're going to say something ridiculous almost every time. You talk that much, you're going to be wrong about things. You're going to think you see something, and it ends up being something else. And she mentioned that, I can't remember which inning it was, but Stephen Wright, the knuckleballer, was on the mound for the Red Sox, and he threw a pitch that looked flat. It didn't move, not a knuckleball. And she said that knuckleball looked flat, and Aaron Boone corrected her and said, well, that was a fastball. Very casually, I think that was a fastball, and that blew up. Oh, she can't even tell a knuckleball from a fastball. Now, I want to go back and watch that. I'm really curious because I think people jumped on it. I'm not sure Boone was right. Stephen Wright throws his fastball at 87 miles an hour. I think that pitch was in the 70s, which makes you wonder what it actually was. Maybe it was a knuckleball that flattened out. But when she says something like that is wrong or seems like it's wrong, she's getting an overwhelming amount of criticism from people who are waiting to pounce on her messing up. And on a baseball broadcast, no matter who you are, if you're Vin Scully, Joe Garagiola, John Miller, John Smoltz, any great analyst, you're going to be wrong, and you're going to say things sometimes that don't match up with what's happening on the screen. She gets an inordinate amount of nonsense for that.
Now, I wasn't watching the game at that time, but if you're the ESPN production truck at that point, do you run a slow-mo replay to determine who was right, or do you just pull back, move on, so you don't call any more attention to it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I would roll it back and find out. And if Aaron Boone's right, Aaron Boone's right. You know, he's right about a lot. He's wrong about a lot. Yeah. I actually like him quite a bit as a broadcaster. But you discuss it a little bit more, especially if you have a three-man booth and you have two people who don't see something the same way. Talk about it a little bit. There's a little bit of room for discussion there. I can't recall how ESPN handled it, but it was something to me that felt pretty innocuous in the moment, and yet on social media it's, aha, she doesn't know baseball. She can't tell what a knuckleball is. My 9-year-old son could tell you what a knuckleball is. My 12-year-old daughter could. Anybody could. It's just people grasping for things for her to be wrong about.
An opportunity to embrace debate on sports television missed. Wow, I'm shocked. Chad Finn, great media columnist for the Boston Globe. Chad, good talking to you. Thanks.